This is the VO Life. Positive conversations about living the voiceover life. Insight into the business and day-to-day grind of being a regular Joe VO. From the humble beginnings to the finally hitting a new level to getting that first big client. It's all about that VO life. Here's your host, Troy Holden.
Hey, and welcome to the VO Life. I'm Troy Holden, flying solo today. I know you're not used to that. We usually have a second party on and we have a long conversation, but today it's just moi, hanging out here in the booth here in the early fall, enjoying the cool weather and enjoying high school football season. My son's been on a really good run this year. They are 7-1. Had a real thriller here last night. Really enjoyed the game. So I want to talk about, related to football, I want to talk about the fourth quarter blues. And here we are in the last 3 months of the year, October, well over half over. By the time you're hearing this, it's probably about done. Where are we and what's going on? Well, let me talk personally. And I'll do that because I like to share some of the things that I go through and I'm going through, and it may help you and it may not. But take it with a grain of salt. It's one of those it is what it is things, right? So most of you know that in January, my plan is still to be doing this full time. And it's scary. Oh my gosh, it's scary. And there's so much pressure. I have put myself in a unknown panic mode. I didn't realize it, and it all really started to hit me this past week because of the things I was doing. Well, what were you doing? I was changing things like crazy. I was probably in the deepest mode of imposter syndrome I've ever been in because certain things weren't clicking like they normally clicked. And here's what you've got to remember, and I had to sit down and have a reality check with myself. I really did. I had to sit down and say, look, this was working for the first 6 months of the year, 7 months. Why are you panicking? All of this was working just fine. So why are you panicking? I had panicked to the point thinking I needed to go take a stock photo and put it on all my thumbnails. I needed to completely change all my demos. I needed to completely change, something's not working. And you know what? Maybe something wasn't working, but when you change everything, you don't know what wasn't working. You've got to be very pinpointed and specific and very focused when you make change, and it needs to be small changes. And you know where I'm talking about. I'm not talking about overall, but this did affect me overall. So if it worked, then it should work now, and only make minor tweaks and changes. And don't, when things slow down a little bit, don't get into the imposter syndrome blues like I have. Look back on your victories and always remember, I was winning jobs. I was getting regular business. A lot of things could have changed. Trends could have changed a little bit. The types of work that was being done could have changed. And I do have to remember there is a certain niche to my voice and what I do, and that can be up and down. So what do I need to be doing versus sitting around and worrying and making changes? If I could have back the 6-8 hours I probably spent, probably more than that, because I was doing things during the day on my phone. I was doing this, what about this, brainstorming this and this. If I could get all that time back, what should I have focused on? Well, one of the things is go ahead and start marking out some routines for January, because that's a big difference in coming home in the afternoon and trying to cram everything in you can in a couple, 3 hours and still trying to help at home and still trying to be a part of your life and your family. Now you're going to get up in the mornings and you have the day to do these things. So what will the routine be? Can you make a set routine? Yeah, I think you can. There are times you're going to be just reacting to auditions and reacting to email and things because all of us will say, well, I'll check my email between 8 and 8:30. Well, no, every time one pops up in your business email, you're going to look at it because it could be a request. So that's a good habit to have, I guess, is to answer some things. But I'm looking more at the routines of how many times a day will I get on this platform, that platform? How many times a day will I do this, do that? You can make some routines for those things. And then I also want to build in, maybe there's a 2-hour window certain days that I'm going to work on a podcast, or I'm going to work on, looking for new material for something later. You're always improving things and working on things. So my character gig is terrible, and I know it's terrible. I get a lot of hits on it, a lot of impressions, a little bit of work. But I know I have the ability to put something really good out there, but I really don't know how to do it. And if I could pay somebody to do that demo, I would. But on the other hand, I could listen to a lot of other character demos, and I could make some notes as to what works, what doesn't work. Then I could start researching those scripts. I could, you could spend some time on things like that, because when you're not busy and you're not doing things that are generating income, you better be doing things that can generate income. You are planting seeds, you are sowing, you are getting ready to reap. And that is where some of that effort has to go. So that's some of the things, that I've started with, that I want to get these routines in place. I know they're not going to stay set in stone. I know I'm going to vary off of them, but I have to have something on paper and in place, or I won't make an attempt to stick to it. And I think that's it. You've got to put yourself into something that you'll try to stick to. I have been able to pick up some older clients again, people I worked with in the past. I went back and sent them a note, whether it be on Fiverr or Upwork or Voices or whatever, and said, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still here. I'd love to continue working with you. And a couple of them reached back out pretty quickly. One said that they had some things coming up in the next few weeks, and another actually gave me another job to do, which was great. There's your payoff in your follow-up and your customer service, going back to your previous customers. You haven't heard from them in a while. Not a bad idea. I've also been able to do some other things aesthetically around here to make things better. I used to always sit in the booth. Everything I did that had to do with voiceover, I did it here in the booth. Even though my PC was right outside the booth, and I had a table out there, aesthetically it didn't work. I couldn't go out there and work, but I brought one of my older rolling stools down, put it out there, my little doctor stool. I got a second wireless keyboard and put out there, and I had a mouse. So now I can sit out there, but the loss was I had 2 monitors in the booth. Now I've got one, and I dealt with that for a long time before. It's not that big a deal, but I kind of miss that second monitor in here. So my next thing is, can I put a third monitor up, let one mirror, and let the other 2 work in here simultaneous, where I loved having the monitor that was turned up, what do you call that, like letter format, to where I could put a whole page of a script up there and keep the whole page up. I really like that. So I may look at trying to go back to that and trying to run 3. I think I can run 3. I just got to double check and make sure. Some other things that I've got to do is, yes, there's going to be a lot of change financially. On the 15th and the 30th, there's no check coming. It's not going to happen anymore. So I've got to set realistic goals based on what we know is coming in and what we need to come in. On top of what we know is coming in, and what is that minimum? What do we do with this? How, and of course, setting aside taxes. All of that comes into play more in January. So that's another thing. You sit down and you scope that out and you chart it out, or however you want to do it, or you put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and you hope that you hit your targets. And when you hit it great one month and you roll over to the next and it's not so great, and as long as you average out, all is well. I've got a good plan, I think, for what I'm going to try to do the first month. What I need to learn really quickly is not to panic. There's going to be slow months. Don't panic. Work harder. Stay on track. Work your 7:30 to 3:30 or whatever you're going to try to do. Try to let it go in the evenings where you're focused on home and family and the things that need to be done on the farm. We threw another curve into this week. My wife has an opportunity to work a 3-day weekend shift. Friday, like from, I don't know, it's really odd on Friday, like 10 to 6 or 10 to something. I can't remember. And then Saturday and Sunday, she'd work 7 to 7. So she'd come home on Monday morning at 7. She would be off until she went back on Friday. That opens up another set of opportunities for her. It takes a lot of stress off because the work stress during the day, and it's like anywhere, on the day shift at a factory or anywhere, there's a lot more going on, a lot more people in and out, a lot more pressure. But usually in the night, it's, people aren't making appointments to come in and get things done in the middle of the night. It's only emergency stuff, and it's not nearly as busy. So that stress goes down. But you're putting your body in a crazy sleep mode when you do that. So we'll see. We haven't decided. We're leaning that way, but we haven't decided. And, it does have an effect on family stuff because family stuff usually happens on the weekend. But she is working 7 to 7. So if there was a lunch on Sunday afternoon, she could possibly pull that off because I'm here when we get back home to take care of the things here. So, we'll see. We're not decided, but we're leaning that way. And see, there's another thing. That's not even voiceover related, but it affects everything. And, as the man, and you're used to being the breadwinner, you forget sometimes you got to have both roles. You got to be breadwinner and husband. And these decisions are pretty tough. As that person of the family, we go back and forth. We struggle with, family time and finances and job and free time and all of that. It's very, very hard. And I'm sure a lot of you have to make those same decisions every day, just like we do. It's tough. Very, very, very tough. Life's hard, right? It is. Life's very hard. And with everything we've got going on in our country with shortages and these ships being stuck at the ports and containers not getting offloaded, and you're hearing all this about where you're not going to have anything for Christmas and blah, 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 and, gas is going out the roof, diesel's out the roof. I filled up my truck this week, and it was $85 or so, and I remember once before, it was $80 and $90 to fill up a truck like that, but that was way back in about 2011, if I remember right, maybe 2010, when diesel fuel was almost $5 a gallon. I remember it being in the $4 range, $4 something, and we're headed back that way, no doubt. It's clicking up fast. I don't know. We've got all that pressure going on. And then we roll all of this into it, and I've been thinking lately, is my timing terrible on what I'm doing? It probably is, but sometimes if you work through the toughest things on the front end, it'll be a whole lot better on the back end. We know personally, and health-wise and stress-wise, this is the best decision. I've been doing what I was doing for 30 plus years, and you get to a point where you're still good at what you do. You still put your heart into some parts of what you do, but there's some parts of it you're just, for lack of a better term, sick and tired. You're just sick and tired. And there are other parts you're really going to miss. I've done some projects here lately on my other job that I just loved. I've enjoyed them. I like helping people. I like seeing people grow. I like watching people progress. I like teaching people what I've done for 30 years so they can do it for the next 30. And I feel like I've accomplished a lot of things, professionally with that. And it's time. It's time to move on. It is just time. And I'm excited about it because I really love doing this stuff. I love learning it. I feel like every week there are certain parts of it I get a little better at. but there's so much more to learn. And I know I'll get there, but it's just gonna take time and patience. And those are the two things that none of us have enough of, right? None of us have enough time, and we never have enough patience. And if you do, congratulations. I would like to get a blood transfusion from you because I really need a dose of time and patience. If we could buy that at Walmart, of course, it'd probably be on a container out in the ocean and we couldn't get it. But if we could go buy that, I bet, yeah. Anyway, hey, thanks for dropping by. I know this was one of those things that everybody said, where's the guest? Where's the guest? Yeah, I know. But you know what? I have got two people coming up on a podcast very soon. And I'm hoping I can get it in November. I'm pretty sure we can. But they have meant the world to me as teachers and as friends. They have really been, I will never forget one day. It's been a couple of months. I was having pretty much like I was a week ago, having one of those meltdowns of maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I'm crazy. I've lost it, and I just felt like I was paddling a canoe on one side, and you know how that is. It'll start veering to one side, and it just keeps going in a circle. And I felt like that's what I was doing. I was paddling hard, but I was just going in this circle. And they pulled me out of that in about 30 minutes and talked to me about some realities and some things. And I do all I can to send more people to them because I think they are, number one, they are honest, they are straight up about what they're doing. And a lot of times when you talk about other things going on in the industry, they'll like, who is that? And I love that part because they're closed off to some of the malarkey that goes on. It's all about doing this and doing it right and building a good business, having the right foundations in place and doing all of those things. And we may end up going into two parts on it. Just depends on how long we talk. But they will be here soon, and you are really going to enjoy that. I also have a couple of folks coming back that have been on before that due to the fact of there's been progression in either what I've done or what a lot of you have done, and there are a lot of new people on the VO Life page that have not heard all of these previous interviews, and sometimes people don't like to go back and listen to the old stuff. I get that, but I'm the opposite on a podcast. I'll binge all the way through over a period of time. But a couple of those I want to bring back because things have changed a little bit, and we want to get you that unique perspective into what has changed. All right, listen, hey, have a great week or two, and I'm sure we'll be back here in a week or two with a little bit more. And enjoy your ride on the VO Life.
You've been listening to the VO Life with Troy Holden. Check back for more episodes each week and catch up on what you've missed also. This is for you, those just living that VO life. Thanks for listening and join us again.
The VO Life intro is by Louise Porter. The outro by Liz Moya. You can pick us up on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, and many other podcast carriers. Need to send me an email? Do it today. Troy@TroyHoldenVoices.com. Thanks for listening.
Today's podcast episode may have been recorded in the bathroom, but you didn't hear that from me. You're listening to the VO Life with Troy Holden.